And check it out, guys, very neatly organized here. So right off the bat, we get a full spool of PLA in white, and definitely cool that it's a full spool and it's Bambu Lab branded. So here we have our control display navigation module, and we'll have to install this. We got our power cord, and this is a US type. We got a PTFE tubing, couple Allen wrenches, and also a clean out needle. And just sitting in there, we have this extra hot end heat break. Looks like the nozzle in it. Very interesting design, and definitely looks quite unique to the Bambu Lab. And it says here it's a 0.4 nozzle. So yeah, very cool. Looks like if you did want to change the nozzle, you'd have to change this piece here. It's not something that you can just unscrew, looks like. So yeah, very interesting. And we also get a little safety guideline in here. So that's pretty much everything except for another box, which is got some good weight to it, and it looks like has quite a bit of things in there. So we got the PTFE tubing anchor, kind of little roller brackets, and we'll have to see what these are for. This one here, it says for the hot end, some kind of clip and 2 bolts. So here we have the spool holder, pretty nice looking piece, all metal. Baggie for the spool holder, some bolts for a DIY shell, so you can't print out your own coverings here, and they give you some bolts to put those on. Here's a little bag that says for scraper DIY, so I guess you can probably print out something and use the razor blades there or whatever's in there as the scraper and put it together, so it's kind of like a little kit. Here we also have some kind of kit for a printed phone holder, and the last baggie here says for extruder. So yeah, quite a few little baggies. And then we also get some lubricant grease and thermal grease. And the last piece here says this side down. Oh, maybe I gotta open it here. Okay, here it says package contains liquid glue. So it's something you use kind of like a glue stick to put on the build plate so your models can stick better. Okay, and it's like a fabric-y swab that you roll it on. Yeah, very cool. And that does appear to be everything. So for the next part, I'm going to clean up here a bit and we'll start putting the P1P together. All right, so the first thing we need to do is cut the zip tie there, take the cardboard off, and also pull out some foam back here. So let's go ahead and cut the zip tie. There's actually a couple of them here. So now we can move the hot end. There we go. Pull out the cardboard. And now it's free. So there's a sticker here. I'm going to go ahead and peel that. Very nice. So back here we have like this chute that goes to the back side, and we're going to look at the details here in a bit, but we need to pull out the foam inside. It's as simple as that. So for step 1, we're going to be installing the spool holder in the back. So step 1 and 2. So let's go ahead and flip around. And now we're looking at the back, and over here there's actually a little sticker that says spool holder assembly. So we got to take out this one bolt. Let's grab the Allen wrench, and it's the larger of the two. And we're going to unscrew this bolt here like it shows in the manual. We're going to grab our 4 spool holder baggie, which includes 2 little bolts, and that's going to replace this one that we just took out. So we're going to grab the spool holder and put the bolt in it and then tighten it to the back here. So yeah, I love the indicators here that show you exactly where everything goes. Very nice attention to detail. And on the spool holder itself, there is wording that says top, and it's the smooth part. Yeah, pretty logical, but just in case. All right, so that's on, nice and tight. So for step 3, we're going to be putting in the PTFE tubing anchor, and it kind of shows us how the PTFE tubing goes on number 4. So this is the baggie here, and it's going to mount right here above the spool holder. To the very top, there's a couple little holes, and with the PTFE tubing going down, it's going to mount just like this. And the 2 bolts are the same, so one of them is going to kind of hold it still, and the other one, you guys can see it has an adjustment. Maybe be a little easier to see sideways. So this is made not to be all the way tight, meaning is it not compressed into the part, so it can move around if it needs to, depending on how big the spool is and if it needs to be at more of an angle or not. So let's go ahead and connect our PTFE tubing, which is up here, and we're simply just going to plug this into the coupler, and then should grab it. So this is where we're going to feed the filament in, and then it's going to go into the hot end, which if we tilt the printer here, hopefully you guys can see that on the hot end, this is where the other side goes. So it just inserts in there and it kind of grabs it. So that is our spool holder and the PTFE guide here. So for the next part, we're going to be flipping back around to the front. And if we go down on the next part, we're going to see we need to unscrew or remove 2 little bolts or screws that hold the bed down. And this is during shipping. And there's actually 2 little, but you guys can see little flags here or arrows that point to the bolts that we need to take out, one on each side. So this one's out, and there we have the other one. All right, so the next part is installing the screen. So we're going to plug it in, and then we're going to tuck the cable correctly behind it and then clip it on. And so the screen here goes on the front left side, and here we have the plug taped down. So let's grab our little screen. We can see that's where it plugs in right there, and the cable kind of has to tuck in into this area there. So let's go ahead and plug it in. Might be a little tricky, but it's not bad. As you can get to it and make sure it clicks in there really good. So make sure you got your screen the right side up, which the controls go towards the center, and then kind of feed the cable here in a wavy, snaky pattern. And then all these holes should line up with the tabs here, and it should go in. And so once you get it in there, you slide it that way to the left. Well, actually, we need to remove this little sticker here first. So we just slide it to lock it. Simple as that. And on top, we actually had a little SD card here that we need to remove that little protector layer on top. So far so good and quite straightforward. And actually guys, that is the last step as far as the installation goes. So for next part, they want us to download the app on our phone to connect to the printer, and then it goes into printing our first print. So yeah, quite simple here on the getting started guide. But before we do anything else, I'm going to clean up here a bit and we'll take a closer look at the printer in more detail. All right guys, so the P1P looks quite unique here sitting on the table. It looks quite raw and kind of like an unfinished look, like somewhat of an industrial kind. And as you guys can see, we don't have any kind of enclosure. It's all completely open. And so this is the frame of the older brother X1 Carbon. And it's kind of shed all of its panels and it's not enclosed. Now the great part is you can't enclose it by buying the enclosure or printing out your own or even doing some DIY stuff. But this is the way that P1P comes, and this is where you will be saving some of your money. So let's start from up here on the top. First thing to note here is that this is a Core XY configuration. So we have two motors there in the back that control the X and the Y. Another thing to note is we have carbon rods on the X and normal steel rod, single on each side, for the Y axis. I like how everything's blacked out as it all kind of blends in and doesn't really show itself too much. But yeah, everything you guys can see is organized very well. The wires and everything's well thought through. There's like this little protective corner here for this wire, and a lot of it's metal like this upper portion is, and then we have some plastics mixed with metals, so it's a combination of both. But yeah, very well built. Not too much going on here on this side. And going to this other corner here, we can see there is some kind of module here that says USB output. So you actually do have power here on the front of it behind the panel right here. So what's great on the latest P1P printers is that you do get a camera pre-installed and also the light bar. So I've heard that the first ones didn't come with this, but their latest ones are already upgraded to these two extra accessories that come standard with the P1P. So let's look at the hot end assembly, as this is going to be a very interesting piece here. So you guys can see on the top, this is where our power wire comes, and it's quite thin. Very interesting. I wonder what kind of signal and power and voltages that are being used that it could be so thin. But yeah, that's pretty cool that it is. We got the typical PTFE tubing, and this is where we inserted it. Right there, so it just kind of clicks in there. So we got some openings here for venting. I love this gray color. The back is quite clean. We just got some venting down here. On the other side, we have a lever here that you can push, and this actually cuts the filament, or like a cutter. You can see a little yellow gear there, looks nice. As we go down, we can see this Bambu Lab. So this is a parts cooling duct, and you guys can see our nozzle there. It actually has a silicone sock around the heat block, and it is cooled from both sides, so it looks pretty nice. And yeah, I'm not sure if you guys can see too much there, but yeah. And going up, we can see there's the blower fan for the parts cooling. And what's cool is this whole part, the front piece, pops off pretty easily as it is magnetic, and we can see a little better the blower there for the parts cooling. And our whole hot end extruder assembly here. So we got the tip there with the heat block, and then the heat break, a little parts cooling fan right there. Then we got our extruder mechanism, and that's where we inserted our PTFE tubing. And then here we can see this junction board there, some ribbon cables plugged in. And in the back there, we got our motor and gears and things like that. So yeah, very nicely built. Great attention to detail. Pretty cool how easily this comes off just being magnetic. Super cool. So yeah, so far so good. Now going to the very back, you guys can see we have the chute here, and the chute goes up and comes out the back over here. You can actually see my hand there. And so this is for cleaning the nozzle, looks like, and purging, because this piece here, which we have extra of these included, you go here, you guys can see it kind of wipes on it, which is super cool. So that's kind of neat that they have this little chute here with the nozzle wiper. So this area here is going to be where the electronics are. They're kind of more down here, looks like. And on this side is our power supply. So there is a piece of tape here. Let's take this off. And the door here looks like pops off. Let's see. All right, so there's actually nothing in there. It's empty. I guess we'll put this back. This must be for some accessory or who knows what. So here in the middle we can see our lead screw that goes all the way down, and it is connected to the bed here, so we can't really see too much because we still have foam. And this is one of the lead screws because there are two more here up front. They are all synchronized with the belt underneath. So that's quite unique. I've seen one obviously, but this has three, which is great because it'll keep the build plate very stable as it goes up and down. So let's go back up here. So on the very top by the screen, we have our SIMS card that plugs in there, and it's a micro, and it's unbranded, just clean card. It's not the easiest thing to access, but this printer is made more to use it through your phone or computer wirelessly. So we got a little nice cover over the frame. The branding here, Bambu Labs P1P, very nice. And then we got our screen that we installed. Let's go ahead and peel the protector. So this looks pretty generic compared to what we're used to lately. So it looks like we have navigation here with OK, pause, and back. But this is one of the downgrades from the X1 Carbon, is that you'll get this screen instead of the big touch screen. So depending on, if you care about that too much, it might be worth it for you to upgrade. But if you're on a budget and you still want the X1 Carbon printing prowess, the P1P here offers it for a lower cost. All right, so going down to the bed, the build volume is actually a square, which is 256 by 256 and 256 tall, which is pretty cool that it's a cube. And I loved how large it is compared to the size of the printer. So it's very efficient on the size and the print volume that you get. Another cool thing that I don't know if I mentioned, but we looked at the lead screws, but we do have the rods also for each of the three corners here, including one there inside next to the lead screw. So yeah, quite a unique way of operating this bed up and down. So as far as the build plate material, it's like a textured, almost looks like a PC type finish, and it is a flexible sheet. Same on both sides, which is very useful, and pretty thin and flexes really easily. You can see the magnetic mat. So we can't really see underneath as it's still down, but it is a heated bed. They can do 100°C temperatures for the hotter printing. And also I did mention that the nozzle goes all the way to 300. So yeah, it gives you versatility to print quite a few different types of filaments. So not too much going down here, just this plastic kind of base. We do have 4 rubber feet. Flipping it around, looking at the back, we can kind of see all of the mechanisms here towards the top of the Core XY. And actually guys, you can see there's this auto tensioner there with a spring. Very interesting. Yeah, I can kind of see it moving as I pull on the belt. Very cool. So it seems to be very, very well engineered, every little aspect of it. This is where we installed the spool holder. We can see it says top here. So we have a little plug here for something. Not sure exactly what that's for. There's our chute here. Some venting. We can kind of see the electronics inside. And going down here, we got the manufacturing label and our power input port. It is fused with an on and off switch. All right, guys. So I got a little curious about what's behind the panel here. So I went ahead and took out the little bolts all around. So let's go ahead and see what's back there. Yeah, the chute does come out with it, and it is a steel back panel. But yeah, this is what we see. So most of this area here is empty. There's our stepper motor there for the Z-axis that runs that belt underneath. And then our power plug here. We are grounded. Very nice. And going to the other side, here we have the power supply. And actually, it's much smaller than I thought it would be. It seems quite small. I don't know if you guys can see or not, but that's the branding there. And it does say 24 volt, 4.5 amps. So yeah, that's quite interesting. And if we go up, we can see here what appears to be some sort of a junction board or something like that. Not too sure if I would say that this is the main board because it doesn't seem that large, but another small one up here. And actually guys, I think maybe this is for the AMS, which is the multicolor or multi-material system that plugs into here. But yeah, And there's more things behind here too. So yeah, definitely kind of interesting. And everything looks like it's kind of really tightly engineered and uniquely assembled. All right, well, hopefully that was a little interesting. I'm going to put the plate back on. So let's go ahead and flip this thing on the side, and maybe we can see something interesting here. And yeah, it's pretty hollow under here, which I did not expect. Kind of cool. So we can see 3 pulleys, and then our belt, and that's connecting the 3 lead screws between each other. And then we have a stepper motor right here that drives it all, and it comes here from this panel here behind, right next to the power here. So, and we do have really nice, actually pretty squishy rubber feet. So yeah, pretty interesting looking printer. I'm pretty excited to plug it in and power it up, and we'll see what the P1P here is all about. So let's go ahead and plug the cord in, and it looks like about 4 feet long. I plugged it in. Let's hit the power button. And it looks like the screen came to life. So I'm not too sure if you guys are going to be able to read that out. So the first thing it says here is before use, make sure you read the user manual. So we did that. Let's click next. So now it's asking us to make sure that we remove the 2 bolts from the bed, which we did. Well, actually guys, I just noticed that there's another bolt right here. So there's actually 3 of them. Wow. So make sure you don't forget that one in the back. And there is a little red flag back there. Even though I looked at it, I didn't click that there was a bolt there. All right, so we're gonna click next. Now it's asking us to select our region, which we'll click on North America. And here it's asking us to scan this QR code to, I guess, make an account or maybe get the app. We'll actually select setup later. We'll click on that. Now we agree to the terms and conditions, and you can read all about them by scanning that QR code. Agree to that. Here you can join to help improve everyone's experience. So I guess they will collect information about the printer, so you can join or skip. I'm going to skip this part. And now it's going to do a self-check. I'll do a run through everything and make sure everything's working. So let's click on start. Of course, we haven't took our foam out yet. I wonder if we can do that. Oh, there we go. Well, I guess we can take it out now. All right, so it's moving the bed up and down. Okay, so for some reason we got test failed here. So that's kind of interesting. It does say we can retest. Maybe me pulling out the foam messed up the test. But once it stops, I'm gonna click on retest. What's interesting is continuing doing something though, even though it says failed on the screen. Okay, so it looks like it's doing input shaping now. And it's getting really loud. All right, now it's moving to the back. And I'm guessing it's done, so I'm just gonna click retest here. Even if it does everything again, I don't mind. I think that foam had something to do with the fail, so. All right, so now it says that it is complete and everything is good. Enjoy your printing. All right, we'll click on finish here. And this is our main menu. All right, so looking at it up close here, we can see that it actually looks pretty nice. So it is in this kind of mono color between light and dark. I do like the overall aesthetic, looks nice. Here we have the control panel. So on the very left side, looks like we're on home, and then we can choose to go between these. So I guess this is printing settings, account, connections, SD card, and then files on the very bottom, which is what you can print. So in home, we got the nozzle temperature there, the bed temperature, the speed, and it says ready to print. And then we have camera, play and stop. So if we click over this way, you can see we are on play right now. Stop, and actually that's all we can choose, looks like. So yeah, it'll definitely be a little bit of getting used to here, as everything navigation related is on this pad. And actually guys, you can also click OK right on where you're at, and that'll go to the options that you have. So the only 2 options we have here are these. So if we go back. So going down to the next one here, we'll push OK. And so our first choice here is the nozzle. And if we click on that, it's going to let us preheat it. Does it have a preset? No. Do I have to manually do it? Wow. So if you click up, it goes by tens. This way it goes by 1. Very interesting. I guess not a big deal. If you just hold it, it goes pretty quick. So let's say 200 and click OK, and it starts preheating. And we actually can hear a fan turned on in the background there. So let's go back. And now we can see it's kind of flashing. So now we can select. Let's go to the bed and we'll preheat this to 60. Click OK. And it's going to execute that. Oops. All right. So we got to click back first. And now go down. This is our speed settings. It looks like we have a few to choose from here. I'm not sure how to get there. Or what am I doing here? But yeah, if we click on this rocket thing, you can see we have ludicrous, sport, standard, and silent. So I'm guessing it would be easier to control all this from, let's say, your phone or something. But yeah, let's go back. Down here we have feeding. So this is going to be load and unload the filament. And then if we keep going down, there's more. We got the fan on, off, and also the light. So let's try that on. So here we have two options, off and on. So we're going to click on, and there it goes. The light actually came on. I don't know if you guys can see, it's right here. Pretty cool. All right, so that is our main options here on the left, and on the right here we have, it looks like extruder. Okay, so this is actually moving the extruder manually. Then we have the bed moving. So we can just go down a little bit. You guys can maybe kind of see it in the background moving up and down. And then we can move X and Y and also home it. So X and Y is going to be these, and home is going to be the middle. So if I move to the front and back, that moves the whole hot end in the XY position, and then home will home everything. So pretty straightforward. Just definitely need to get used to the controls. Just gotta get used to clicking the right buttons to go in and out of the menus. So the next one down here we have the account, which we're not logged in, our connection to the Wi-Fi, the SD card, the size of it and what's available, the printer's name, firmware, calibration, out of sleep, 15 minutes. So I guess it can put itself to sleep, and you can choose from the different times here or never. We'll leave it at 15. You can also factory reset it, and our serial number here. So since we have everything preheated, let's go ahead and load some filament in the back. And I think in the files here, they do have quite a few things that we can print out. Not too even sure what to start off, but I guess we'll go with the benchy here. I saw a benchy in the beginning. There we go. Let's see if I click on that. Okay, so it does show us here some information. It's going to take only 8 minutes to print, which is, I guess, the maximum speed of this thing. All right, so we're flipped around to the back, and I'm going to go ahead and open up this full spool of white PLA that came with the printer. It says Bambu Labs up here. So yeah, very nice quality spools. So let's grab the end here. We're going to set it on the spool holder. And so our filament is going to go out this way and kind of naturally feed into the coupler here, which will guide it into the hot end. So I'm going to cut it on an angle so it can travel easier. And we're just going to go into this PTFE tubing. It's a little bit tight here, but not bad, to be honest. I wish the spool holder was a little bit lower. I think that would make it a little easier, but it's not a big deal at all. So we're just going to push it until it goes into the hot end, and that's how you're going to start it. And so now we're going to go to our extruder, and we're going to click down to feed it in. So you might have to push your filament through or help it grab from the back. But yeah, I can feel that it grabbed it. So I'm just going to keep pushing it until it starts coming out the bottom. And there it goes. You guys can see some white coming out. Yeah, it looks like everything is good there. So I guess we can go ahead and start our benchy. I'm going to go back to the files, and we'll click on benchy. And I'm going to click on print. So I'm guessing it's ready to go. And I think the bed leveling is also automatic. So we'll see how it goes. Let's go ahead and just click on print. So there it goes. Okay, so it looks like it might be cleaning the nozzle there in the back. Okay, so it's actually purging in that chute. So that's kind of cool. I guess you don't really have to purge it as it automatically do it. Looks like some fans came on. And there it goes. Double wiping itself. Looks like checking the bed. Okay, and it actually does tap there. So it taps the bed to check for level. He's doing something in the back there. So I'm not sure if this is a first time thing, as it's doing some kind of tests before it even prints the benchy here. So. Okay, so it's doing the out of bed leveling. Alright, so since this is probably our first time printing, it probably has to go through this procedure to put in all the parameters. And also it looks like input shaping too, because it keeps bouncing the bed around. All right, so looks like it's preheating the nozzle again. And there it goes, look at that. So purge the line and now it's printing. Wow, that is so fast. Yeah, look at it go on that first layer. It's literally perfect. Wow, this thing is insane. That is incredible. That is real-time printing right there. That's just incredible. It's shaking my whole table. So yeah, this thing's on fire. It's going really quick. Yeah, as we're printing here, we can, looks like, choose to pause or stop the print. You can also control, looks like, other stuff too while it's printing. Very interesting. So you can adjust your temperatures here if you wanted to. Yeah, the amount of force that's going into the printing, it's making everything shake. But super exciting to see how this benchy will come out, even though we're printing in white. All right, so the benchy finished faster than I could even keep track of it. I just left for a second and it was done. So yeah, it was definitely quick. It doesn't say here how long it took. Not that I noticed, just goes back to the main menu. But yeah, quite incredible. And I would say probably 15 minutes if I could guess. It did start off with calibrating itself and whatnot else. So the bed is actually still warm. What is it, 58? Yeah, let's go ahead and release it and I'll set it down here on the table so it can cool off faster. But what I want to do is I want to change the filament to black. So I think this little lever here, you push and that cuts the filament so you can pull it out. So I want to try that out. So if I just push on it all the way down in there deep, we should be able just to roll it out. Okay, so I guess we'll have to unload in the menu, but before then we have to preheat it. I definitely wish they had a preheat button to be able to push it out here. Surely it does preheat really fast. And there we go. Okay, so I just had to push it once and it comes out. So getting to the spool holder in the back is not as fun as usual, but not a huge deal. And yeah, very good filament looks like. And we're gonna look at the benchy here in a second. And I wanna put some just generic filament, not Bambu branded, in black so we can see much better of how the layers go down. I'm just gonna push it all the way through to the hot end and I'll click on load once so it grabs it. Okay, so I can confirm it grabbed, and I think it'll purge itself once it starts printing the new print. So let's cut this benchy loose, and look at that, it just came right off, no issues. And we got the little purge here, also comes off. So yeah, it seems to stick very well and pops right off, at least here for PLA. And yeah, it's really easy to align the bed and set it in there as it has little stops in the back. So let's go ahead and print the benchy again, and this time in black. All right, so it's preheating. So it does purge enough for you not to worry about doing all that, as it will do it automatically. So it's still doing all the stuff it did in the beginning. I guess it needs to kind of calibrate each time it prints. Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of strange to see it do so much calibration before it starts. It seems like you would remember from the last one. And look at that, it's gonna have to do the out of bed leveling again. Or maybe it's just checking, I'm not sure. Yeah, it looks like it has to do this every time. Very interesting. I wonder if you can bypass this so you don't have to waste so much time each print. But I guess, you know, depending on who you are, this might be quite valuable as it's going to be perfect every time. But yeah, as it's doing that, let's go ahead and look at this benchy here. So it is in white. It's going to be a little bit harder, or maybe quite a bit harder to see. So let's start here with the bottom. So the bottom looks great. There's practically no elephant foot or anything weird. So it's literally perfect. So the layers, if you can maybe see them, do sit very nicely. Most of them, there is a few lines here and there, like this one here a little bit, but that's a normal line that is on all benchies. Yeah, guys, if this was a 15-minute print, which I believe it was, it is incredible how good it is. And look at the overhangs and everything, so yeah. Everything looks great, but in white you can't see very well, so this is why I'm excited to print it in black. Hopefully my filament there is good enough for this really fast printing, but it should be just normal PLA. I'm pretty excited to see how our next benchy is going to come out. Yeah, very weird how it has to do all this. Alright, there it goes, it's purging. And it starts. Also guys, it does look like the display dims down, kind of preserve itself. Very cool. All right, so the benchy's done and the printer actually cooled off and looks like turned itself off or put itself on standby. The screen is dimmed down. Their light is still on, but it's all completely quiet. And it's been about 30 minutes or so since it's finished. Yeah, let's see how easy it pops off. This is actually pretty much cold. And look at that. I don't know, I'm really liking this build platform. Seems to stick very well and then pop right off when it cools off. So again, not sure the timing on this thing. If I would guess, it's anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. So keeping that in mind, well, let's take a closer look at this thing. Right off the bat, oh, I guess let's go to the bottom. We can see the finish there. Very nice. Again, perfect adhesion to the bed. Slight elephant foot there, but it's very minor. That's pretty much normal there. So now one thing we can notice right away, you guys can see, I don't know where to start here, from the back maybe. We have this really shiny, very even layers. Beautiful layers. And then for some reason we got matte. I don't know if the temperature changed or the speed changed. Something changed and it started printing more matte. And then it got more shiny as it went up, which is interesting. We do have a little bit of ringing there, but it's very slight. Basically no ghosting. Great cooling on the overhangs. So yeah guys, I don't know, it's quite incredible. So I guess the Bambu Lab P1P here delivers for sure on quality. And actually guys, looking at this white one, I don't know if you can maybe see or not, we were shinier on the bottom and then it got matte here also. It's just harder to see on white. But yeah, the benchy turned out amazing, which is impressive to say the least for the P1P here.